A very good morning to you. How are you doing? James Okumu is my name. Welcome to Tuesday. Every Tuesday, Parenting Tuesday, we have conversations on parenting. Iron sharpens iron. We learn from one another and we grow as parents. So, mzazi, leo, vuta stool, karibu na TV ama karibu na radio. If you're watching me on TV, pull your seat closer to the TV. We need to have a serious, intimate conversation. If you're listening on radio, pull that thing closer to you because we need to talk. And this morning, I need to get your feedback and I need to know what you're thinking because we have to have conversation. So, yesterday we woke up normal day until we saw the headlines in some of the local dailies. And as a parent, if you saw that, it must have worried you. 44 teenagers, 44, in one house in Mountain View, aged between 11 and 17. I'm a parent of teenagers. I have a 13-year-old, I have a 16-year-old, I have a 21-year-old. And so I'm thinking, my daughter and my son have gone somewhere for a birthday, and the house is full of hard liquor, it is full of marijuana, used condoms, it's a sex orgy. 11 to 17, 44 of them. And the thing is, most of them got to know about the party through social media. Our kids have got gadgets. It's the way of life today. You can't avoid it. How safe are they? That's the conversation we need to have today. And I'm already getting comments. I have a comment here from Moses. Moses is all the way in Qatar. And he says, good morning. For me, I think it's a high time the Kenyan government also limits what can be obtained and gotten on the internet, because here in Qatar there are so many platforms that are under very high scrutiny from the government. There is content you can't get online here. We have to get at that point now because everyone is having an internet-based gadget. Moses, I think that's a good sort there. Mama Mbula, always a blessing to know you're watching and listening. You say concerning those teenagers, we have a generation of teens who don't understand and have never heard or even closed their ears to the word no. You may have raised your children right, but peer pressure is real. Parents always check where your children are and who they are with, and if possible, drop and pick them and meet the responsible parents who will be in charge of the children. And children must understand that actions have consequences. That one is a thought by Mama Mbula today. And then my namesake, Martin Dongo. Martin is saying this generation where we are as parents, so much is changed to our phones and our laptops and having little or no time for our children. Where we went wrong is after thinking that they have enough food in the fridge and money in abundance, shelter over their heads, and the latest boutique in town, we forgot there's something between their ears. It's called a brain, and we need more of our attention, to give them more of our attention than the phone. Hey, Martin Dongo, naona leo umeamka. Haya. So we are going to be having this conversation. I have a good friend of mine who's going to be giving us some insights and just educating us on the importance of being safe online, especially where our children are concerned because they're living online. Parents, talk to me. 20316 is the SMS line. WhatsApp number 0786 316 316. I would love to hear your thoughts on this one. Don't be silent today. Today we need to talk. It is Parenting Tuesday, safety of our children online. So much has been happening. I was sharing about the story that was in the local dailies yesterday about 44 teens who were caught in a house in Mountain View. There was also another story of some girls who got lost after they got bored. I mean, it's just crazy what's happening in this day and age. I have another comment here that says parents have become so much occupied with their jobs and they don't have time for their children. Well, that's another thought right there. My mom is watching. My mom. Parenting is not the same as it was when you were parenting us. Hatukukuwa na shida kama hizi. Utuombe. Tuko na shida mingi sana. Today, I'm joined by a good friend, family IT consultant, Evelyn Kasina. Evelyn, how are you doing?
I'm very well, Jemu. I mean, I was going to call you Martin, but I'm not used to calling you that. So, hi, Jemu.
How are you? Good to have you on the show today. I'm just wondering, as a family IT consultant, when you came across this story and realizing that a lot of these teens were lured via social media, what are some thoughts that went through your mind?
First, because I do believe I learned a lesson from, just a short 1 month ago where there's a girl who was lured, who was being groomed by an alleged teacher via Zoom. I learned very quickly that there's so many things that will be on the media that have very many gaps. And so when I saw this, I was very quick to ask if the girls, especially the one that came out on Thursday, if the girls were really kidnapped or they went voluntarily, they just walked themselves into the space of where they were. But one of the things that came into my mind was cabin fever has now checked in, I think, full throttle for very many people. I think for us, we have felt it, but now we are seeing the effects even in our children. And I think when I'm just thinking about this, and true to it, they said they were bored. I think cabin fever has a big chunk to blame.
What is cabin fever? What is cabin fever?
Cabin fever, the fact that COVID has made us just stay inside the house. We're not going outside. We're not socializing. But then you see now the socialization has gone virtual. So we are talking to our friends virtually. So when there's just a little chance for us to go outside and meet our friends, we will grab it and run with it. So I think that is something that we need to also consider. However, I do believe the fact that our children, that we can't hide that our children are on social media. They're exchanging a lot of things. There's a lot of culture exchange. There's a lot of behavioral exchange. And me and you are teenagers once, so we know that we can be sneaky when we want to. And I think we are seeing a lot of that. I mean, it's not a surprise that children can be, the teenagers are doing what they're doing. We've been there. It's just that probably we are seeing it in a different setup than we had when we were growing up.
Okay. I'm just wondering, this whole online business, and sometimes I think it can be easy to lay a blame on the parents, but I had a very interesting conversation with a friend of mine. We've been having conversations the last 2 weeks, and he's been asking me to help him navigate through Facebook. He has never been on social media. Never. Yeah? And he has a teenager. So I'm looking at a situation like that, and I'm thinking, when you look at our children, they have been born into a space where gadgets are everywhere. Social media is the norm. For us, when we were born, the only gadget was a TV that was starting at 5 p.m. and closing station by 10. So we know life away from the gadgets. And so even when these gadgets came over, a good number of us adults have not really embraced them. We don't really know how they work. A good number of us adults don't really know the workings of social media. And so how do I know the dangers in there? How do I know what my children is doing in there? And personally, I'm not even exposed to it.
I think, Jimo, first I will tell you, for that parent, first I'll help you understand the generational connotations of this digital age. Our children are digital natives.
Yes.
We who are raising young children, the 35, maybe 40 under, we are digital residents. So we are living in this dispensation. Between 45 to 55 thereabout, they're digital visitors. Yes, no, you're visitors. And so we need to start looking at also where we are and not blaming. I mean, parents who feel they're not in touch with the technology as it is should not feel bad. However, now that you know there are things happening in that space, it is your responsibility to start learning. And not to learn so that you can monitor, learn to understand. Because again, even me who's a digital resident, believe you me, I don't know how TikTok works. I have no clue. I have no time. And there are so many other applications that I probably would not interact with, and my children will. So it's for me to just understand, this is what it looks like, and there will be very many platforms, and get to know from their perspective, what is so interesting here? Why are you spending so much time here? Who are you talking to? What conversations are you sharing? What information are you giving, and what information are you taking? So that when you're having a conversation, it is a conversation that is not from a person who really doesn't understand and a person who wants to be there, because then that gets to become a very conflict where the child is like, when mshamba, kwani hauelewi, and you want to be in a place where even if you don't understand the nitty-gritties of using this, you understand the reason why they're there, because that is their social crowd, unfortunately, and we cannot take that away from them. So for your friend, I think let him not get stressed into knowing how to use Facebook. Let them understand, because I mean, even our kids are not on Facebook. I don't know why he's bothered with Facebook. He should be bothered with Instagram, TikTok, all these other, because for them it is small video, I'm done, you know. And I would shock you, because the other day I was sitting with some friends of mine, and they told me how pornography is coming to their faces, but you and I, when we see, we don't see pornography. And I'll give you an example of the site that I was told to check on Instagram. It's called Fashion Nova. So when I had it, in my head, I'm like, my child, if I found my child there, I would be like, you're interested in fashion. So what is this? The new... But when you click into the models, that's where the rabbit hole is, because the models are advertising something. So you click, you get in there. You click and it becomes just a rabbit hole you can't get out of. Yeah. But on the face value, it looks something so innocent. So you see, again, now they've started trying to hide or trying to make it look incognito for us parents. Because I mean, if I come and find my child there,
you won't suspect anything. Okay.
You can't. So we just need to, and mostly engage them as much as possible.
You know, the other day I was on Instagram, and I was just trying to catch up with what's happening in this world, because for me, I'm mostly on Facebook. I use mostly Facebook and WhatsApp. So I was on Instagram, and I'm looking at these young people, 18 years, 19 years, and they have like 500,000 other teenagers following them. And I'm asking, following them where? Where are they going? What substance do they have? I mean, I click on their photos and on their videos. It's just vanity and emptiness. And I'm wondering, where are we going as a society? But then the thing that shocks me is the responses they get. You know, it would be easy for somebody like that to say, let's meet tomorrow for a bash somewhere. The cost is this much. Everybody will be there. I mean, that's dangerous.
You remember the last time I was on your studio and I told you about this new thing that teenagers are doing, especially if somebody has access to a car. And they do have access to cars. That is their source of music. And right now you can dial a beer, they have M-Pesa, so they really don't go to a liquor store and look young like a minor. They'll dial a beer, sit somewhere at a parking lot, blast music out, drink, smoke, finish and go. They really don't need to be under anybody's building. Yes. They don't need to go into a physical store to buy alcohol. They'll dial it. So we have access.
I've actually seen that firsthand, because where I live next to a school. And so when these COVID restrictions were really tight, every Saturday, for about 3-4 Saturdays, you would have young people come. They would rent the grounds of the school. They would come in their cars. I would count about 100 to 150 cars. And they would have music, loud music. So from my bedroom window, from the living room, when I peer out, I can actually see them. And they're just dancing and talking, and I'm wondering what's going on. Kwani kulikuwa na harusi? Bibi harusi yuko wapi hajafika? What's happening here? And they would stay there until 8, 9 at night. When it gets to nighttime, they put their headlights on, and they're just there with music. And I kept wondering what's happening. And my son told me this is the new trend.
Yeah, it is the new trend, and I think things are going to start even innovating more. I think when we heard about the 44 people who were caught, I don't know how they were caught inside a house, because normally they're not really in houses. They are in different places just doing peculiar things. Yeah.
So, Evelyn, what are some of the things I as a parent need to start knowing and maybe implementing to ensure that my child is safe online? Because we can't take away the online platforms. They're here to stay, and they will only continue to grow. So as a parent, where do I start and what do I need to know?
I think first and foremost, even just looking at the emotions of parents the last, several days, people first have a lot of anger. They have a lot of regret. Yeah. And people are confused. We really don't know. And I think for me, and what I've been asking parents to do is first to pause And because probably what we are doing might not be, we are not seeing results for what we are doing. And you know, people have been saying, I was beaten, and we turned out fine.
Yeah.
I don't know if we turned out fine. That is left out for people to judge.
Very true.
However, I don't think what we are doing either is enough or the correct way. Why? We are not engaging the children to get to understand what it is they want.
Okay.
That's something that we need to start doing. As a parent right now, you have, and especially teenagers, because teenagers are in a space where they want to be allowed to be. But unfortunately, you can't allow people to just live the way they want. So engage them in the kind of things they want to do, and then see if there is a way you can strike a balance.
Okay.
Because I've asked the teenagers themselves, okay, fine, you're behaving in a way that is very peculiar for us. And, you know, when you decide you're going to go for a party and such kind of things happen, you know, we don't know how to behave. So what do you want? They actually also don't know what they want. But there's someone who told me, I want to do things that make me feel crazy. And I asked them, what is it that you want to do that makes you feel crazy? Let me go into a room that has too much music. It will blast my ears. Let me dance. Let me scream. I'll be fine. However, if you look at that situation, it is not sustainable for that particular moment, because today it will be music. Tomorrow somebody will introduce something to drink, which will be laced or something. And, you know, it will become what we are seeing right now. However, I think as parents, let's stop condemning the children and seek to have them in our space. Why? Because we need to be able to create conducive environments for them so that they don't go look for that fun out there, because you can't control what is out there, unfortunately. So I think the parent who is listening today, stop shouting, like let that end today. Let your children come and talk to you, but also be in a position to listen, and listening without judgment, because unfortunately how they're using technology is not how we are using technology.
Exactly.
And I think that is a thing we need to appreciate and we need to understand. They actually, like, if you're the way you're saying you're on Instagram trying to keep up, in fact for them they're more on the chat option. They're not really on the face value of Instagram. They're in ukondani, because they want to have private and direct messaging other than what other people are seeing. So let's first appreciate that the way we are right now with COVID and you know, the way technology is, the social media aspects and the platforms are the social grounds for our children. So let's engage them to try and understand. And then let's stop being angry, because I don't think the anger is taking us anywhere. I've been telling people, so once you're done shouting on Twitter that our children are misbehaving, then what? I mean, we didn't even learn 1 month ago when we saw a girl who genuinely went by herself. I think she only came out because she saw the perpetrator on the news. She genuinely went. But if you asked her, she was bored. I mean, there was nothing for me to do. This guy was offering a solution, you know. So we need to stop first being angry, because I don't think the anger is taking us far, and start learning how to engage them. It might be difficult, a difficult mind shift, but it is what is required right now.
Okay, parents, talk to me. Do you have any questions for Evelyn today? Nimemleta hapa atusaidie, so you had better ask your questions early. Don't wait until 5 minutes before we run out of time. Ask your questions now, because we need to learn. Oh my goodness, do we need to learn? I mean, do we change anger? That's what we used to say. Now things have changed. They have already changed, you know, and we need to be aware of what our children are experiencing so that we can help them navigate through all these things. I mean, I'm thinking back in the day, for us it was the music. When the pop music hit the scene, my friend, you know, our parents grew up on some music that sometimes I still wonder why they listen to that kind of music till today. But when we got into the pop culture, oh my goodness, you know, and that's just the lifestyle. You know, punk hair, you know, when we would listen to the Bobby Browns and the Michael Jacksons, our parents thought we had lost it. And if they didn't sit down to understand where we were coming from and have conversations with us, some of us got lost kabisa. Some of us were saved by the bell. So now it's our turn as parents. Our children are in another realm altogether. Can we get in there to understand what we are going through? Questions 20316, WhatsApp 0786 316 316. Your comments are already coming through. I have this one that says we need to be be alive to the middle class syndrome. A lot of us parents, having grown up deprived, tend to overcompensate with material things and excess freedom towards our children. That is so true, and that can be very detrimental to our children. And then Esther from Naivasha says there are also a lot of good things on the internet. I think what we need to do as parents is to train our children on the use of the internet, what areas to explore. I pray that the Lord may give us wisdom regarding that. Evelyn, what do you think about this one? This one says, I bought my son a phone in class 7. I never monitored him. When he went to Form 1, I was left with his phone and I realized he was watching porn in some WhatsApp groups. I think the question is, at what age do we allow our children gadgets, and at what age do we allow them to access the internet? That has been a question that we've been asking over and over again. I don't know what your thoughts are.
Okay, let me just ask this parent a question.
Yeah.
By the time I'm 18, I'm able to drive, right?
Yes.
I'm legally of age to drive.
Yes.
Does that mean that my dad buys me a car?
No.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. So when you're buying your child a phone, for me, I don't look at it as a matter of age, because it doesn't matter where the legal age lies. What matters is the why. Why are you buying that phone? The why.
Yes.
The why. And I had a conversation with my friend yesterday who called me and told me my 9-year-old went for a camp. There was some sort of a camp with the dad, and all her classmates had phones except for her.
Yeah.
We had agreed that in case she needs a phone, a kabambe can suffice, right? Because it's about calling.
Yes.
But now she came back with this pressure that everybody in my class has a phone. I'm the one without a phone, and she was crying and she was very emotional. And I told the mother, there are certain things you have to ask yourself. Why does your child want a phone? If she's able to give you adequate and reasonable answers for why they want a phone, then you can consider it. And we need to start looking at who is going to maintain that phone.
Yes.
Right now, the way we are seeing children having access to M-Pesa, a child who's under 18, for God's sake, I mean, the line is registered to a parent, right?
Yeah.
For them to be able to access those money transfer method, the phone is not registered to them. It's registered to a parent. So should anything happen, who is going to take responsibility? Not the child.
The parent.
The person whose phone is registered to.
Yes.
That is number 2. Number 3, who is going to maintain that phone? Okay? And as you're thinking about the why, how are they going to use that phone? Where are they going to use that phone? And for how long are they going to use that phone? When you let the child answer all those questions, na pite, by all means, they're ready. You know, and then let them know the consequences towards, misusing or mishandling that phone.
Yeah.
That said, there are people who already have given phones to their children without having these conversations.
Yes.
And I think for me, you need to go back and start looking at how am I monitoring this phone in terms of when are you using it, how are you using it, what platforms are you using, and who are you talking to? Because then you need to understand that that phone is an avenue to either good things or it's an avenue to bad things.
Yes.
And you see, if especially for those parents who have already crossed that bridge, taking that phone is going to cause a lot of conflict. What you need to do is just retrace your steps back. And especially for this parent who already found compromising websites and the child was watching inappropriate content, you already have a tool in terms of evidence where you say, by the way, when I was left with your phone, I went through it and I found, you are watching inappropriate content. Then try and understand that this is how you should talk calmly. Breathe.
Not
and
with,
ask them.
not
You want
with
to
fire
understand.
and brimstone.
No. You want to understand how they access that content, where it came from, and how deep that watching has been, and what it means to them. And I think also what I need to tell parents at this point, when you find your children watching pornography, instead of blowing out of proportion, try and understand what your child is watching, what it means to them. Because I think we come from our own understanding and our own knowledge of what pornography is and what sex is. And we start using words like sex is bad. It's not bad. And we start confusing them. So we need to understand, okay, so you've watched.
Yeah.
How long have you been watching? But what do you think what you've watched means? So that you can start having a candid discussion. Because guess what?
Yeah.
If you're not going to be the parent who preempts this conversation to your children, So they'll go back to the same internet.
Very true.
Or they will go and look for answers from somebody who you have got no control over.
Yeah.
Somebody who might not share your values, and then they will start confusing your child more. So I think it is a good opportunity that you found. You found compromising images and they were accessing inappropriate sites. That should be your starting point. Just asking them from their understanding and making them feel that they're not done a mistake so that they can be open. Because once we keep telling them they've done this mistake, or you're shouting at them and you're condemning them, they're going to retreat. So that is a good point to be. However, I keep telling people that I have contracts that you need to sign with your children. Simple things, let them know, I can do this, I can have this one, I'm going to take care of it. This is how I'm going to use it, where I'm going to use it, and for how long. And when I need to check your phone as a parent, I am allowed because it is inside the contract. So at least you're able to give them the responsibility for that particular gadget.
Okay, back to this whole middle class syndrome thing. Nowadays we live in the, when I was a child growing up, if you guys had a video cassette player and a color TV, you guys were the Sonkos of the neighborhood. Now we live in a space where we no longer gather around the TV set. We have Wi-Fi. And a good number of homes have got Wi-Fi today, especially in the city centers. And every child has their own gadget. So from the moment all of you come back home, you're there, but you're not there. Yeah? Because the mom is with her gadget in the kitchen. Daddy is with his laptop somewhere there. I don't know what he's doing. The son is on his phone. The daughter is on their phone. Even when we're having dinner, everybody is eating and checking, eating and updating, eating and posting, all these things. How do we break free from this, Evelyn? Because I think that's also a serious issue.
I totally agree with you. And I'll start by saying children depend on us for learning. They depend, like literally depend on us for learning. And what your children are doing is a direct, and I'm going to say this bluntly, it is a direct version of what you are doing. Take a moment first for that to sink.
Yes.
You see your children misbehaving, especially with their gadgets, they've learned that from you.
Yes.
And you have allowed that to continue, and you have allowed that to happen.
Ooh.
One, if your children are having gadgets on the table, ask yourself if you have your gadget on the table as well.
Yeah.
And most chances are
you
true.
Do.
You see your children going with their gadgets to the toilet.
Yes.
You probably go to the toilet with your gadget.
Yes.
Yes. So my question is, before I start telling you otherwise, where is your moral authority to tell your child that they're not supposed to be on their phone?
Wow.
Iko wapi?
Because you're doing exactly the same thing.
Because your children depend on you for learning.
Yeah.
Yes. So I believe that, and this is why I said, as of today, we need to start having a mind shift, a big mind shift. And for us is to start also modeling. If you want behavior change in your house, please model it, because your children watch you more than they listen to what you say. They will still listen, but when they watch you and they see you doing something contrary, they will ask you, and they will be those people who say, but you're saying, but you're doing. And I believe families now need to be very careful, because these phones are making us lose human touch, human, relationships, because we are with people physically, but we are not with them there. And I think even as parents, and I'm going to say this with all honesty, because I think I'm going to stop being on the side of the parents to understand the children. Why? The children here are the victims. Because if you see the 44 children, they were victims.
Yeah.
We are concentrating on what we are feeling, but we are not focusing on why they're doing what they're doing. And they are the victims. Children will tell you, every time I'm coming to talk to my mom, she's on her phone and she keeps telling me 1 minute, give me 1 minute, give me 1 minute. That 1 minute becomes an hour, and they even forget what they were saying. However, we are physically with our children at home, but we are globetrotting. We are globetrotting.
Yes.
We are all over the internet doing so many things. You just said the father is somewhere on a laptop or on the phone. Me, I'm on my phone. What is on the TV is boring, probably.
Yeah.
So unafaa kufanya nini? They will go behind a screen. And then when that becomes culture and when it becomes habit, people don't find communion talking to each other.
Yes.
And that's where the problem is. So we need to first stop and give ourselves times and spaces where we can interact with our technology. For me, I call those tech-free zones. And those tech-free zones should be very deliberate. When you're having meals, like when you choose a day to have a movie, let it be one gadget at a time. Parents choose a day where you can engage your children to play games, puzzles, do whatever it is, just engage them. Because in those spaces, that is where you will have conversation. That is where you will ask them about things, and not beginning conversations with, "Hi, Jemo, how are you?" Because you will tell me fine, right? But if I ask you, Jemo, what was the best part of your day yesterday? You will actually stop and think about it. And you will start wondering, okay, so by the way, why did also that incident make that best part of my day? So that we can start having deep conversations, because these gadgets, unfortunately, we have them at home. And there's something I keep saying: we have more gadgets in Africa, and especially phones, than we have toilets.
Yes.
Even if you look at your own house. If you look at your own house, you probably have more gadgets than you have toilets in your house.
Oh my goodness.
So who has these gadgets? What are they doing on these gadgets? It's really scary. But I think, even as one of your audiences said, there are so many good things that we can do. Also, when we are being deliberate on putting the gadgets away so that we're creating tech-free zones, I think then we also need to start engaging our children with what positivities can they do out of these platforms, because there are very many things they can do.
Okay. Another question that keeps coming up is, as a parent, should I be friends with my children on social media?
Yes and no. I don't think you...
What do you mean yes and no?
It depends. Because there are people who say, first and foremost, when we say Kenyans are bullies, we are the bullies, right? Because, yes, we are the bullies.
We are the bullies,
we are the bullies, right?
Yes.
So do you want your children to see how you behave online?
Yes, I do.
Good. Then be friends with them. However, do you also want to see what they post online?
Imagine I want to.
You want to?
Yes.
Now that's where now for a parent it will be yes, no, yes. For me, I would want to know. But I also believe that what they are posting face value could be what I want to see, because then they will know mommy and daddy are my friends online. And of course, there are the chat options. So if they want to be naughty, they want to be themselves, they will go into the DMs. I mean, how many people DM you with so much inappropriate content, and then on their face value they're so godly and looking all
so like they're angels.
And no. Yes and no, but I think if you are in an understanding where you can maintain it, I think go for it. But I know the people who have since changed their mind and unfriended themselves from being their friends' children on Facebook.
I think it boils down to a place of foundations and the kind of relationship you have with your children. Because when I think about the kind of relationship I have with my kids, I'm not the best dad in the world, but I'm trying the best that I know how to do. And I've been able to build a friendship with them, so they know what I post online. I mean, they see my posts every day. They know kwanza wewe unakuwaka kwa TV, you had better behave yourself. Ukianza kuweka vitu mbaya mbaya hapa, unatuharibia sifa. So and because we have conversations, I think it's not something that just happens. Wow. It's something that you have to build. Where are both of you coming from? Now, Evelyn, shortly I want us to discuss, I know we've been focusing on the children, but sometimes I think it's us parents as well who put our children in danger by the kind of things we post on social media. Maybe sometimes we even expose our children, with so many things we are trying to do. So we'll talk a bit about that. And also, does the law have anything to say where issues like these are concerned? So that's coming up in a bit. If you have questions, 20316 is the SMS line. WhatsApp number is 0786 316 316. It's Parenting Tuesday. We are focusing on our children and their online safety. And so, also, let me remind you, in fact, on the same line of thought, please ensure you hook up with my colleague Sarah Otieno later on today. This is in the evening between 6 and 7 on This Is the Day, both on Family TV and Family Radio 316. She will be picking up this conversation. She will be widening the scope a bit because she will be discussing online security. How do you know you're secure online? This is now not just for kids. This is for everybody. How do you ensure that you as an individual are secure online? Hii mambo ya kushinda unatutumia messages, my account has been hacked. We know what you clicked. My account has been hacked. And suddenly we are having all these things in our inboxes and we are thinking, hey, mchungaji, hii ni gani tena umenitumia? And then you come back later and say, sorry guys, that was not me sending. My account has been hacked. Did it get hacked, or did you hack yourself because you clicked on something inappropriate? So make sure you hook up with Sarah Otieno. This is the day, 6 to 7 this evening. Online security is what we are going to be talking about. Today, we are having family IT consultant Evelyn Kasina is with us in studio via Zoom. We are talking about online safety for our children. There was a message here that I want to read, Evelyn. This one says, when I was in high school, my parents made me and my 3 siblings share a phone. So it was guaranteed that there were days in the week I was phone free. She made us buy our own credit, so we had to work for it. My mom would randomly ask for the phone and go through it, and we'd have to sit down and answer the 1,000 questions she had.
Accountability.
That's true.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I love that. Mm-hmm. The fact that if somebody was misbehaving, everybody will be looking at them when people are being asked their 1,000 questions, right? But I think it's a good thing because also, remember then, and I'm talking about when we were growing up, we also didn't have access per se in terms of accessibility of gadgets and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But today, with 1,500 shillings, you not only have a phone, but you have a data-enabled phone. They're as cheap as that. With your bonga points, you can get a phone. And a good phone with a good camera and it has internet. So I think also looking at the different times we're living in, we have more accessibility now than we did then. But I think also that setup was good because there was accountability. And also, remember they've said that their mom made them buy their own credit. Yeah. That's very important because if you want to make calls, I'm not going to be responsible for that. You sort yourself out, right? Very true. And I think even we need to start looking at accountability for ourselves as parents, and also how we can be either accountable to our children or letting them know that they should be accountable to someone or something. Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk a bit about us as parents and our responsibility and our accountability. Do we sometimes as well expose our children to things we may not be aware of? How do we do that?
Yes, we expose them unconsciously and consciously. Okay. And I'll say the unconscious part. We are proud parents. We have also been introduced to these platforms that we can showcase, what we do behind the scenes, what our families are, what we are all about. I think that's a good thing. And sometimes when we are doing this, and especially when we're involving maybe videos and photographs of our children, we probably don't ask them if they're comfortable being in the spaces that we are putting them in. And I think that's where we don't really go wrong, but we do it unconsciously. Yeah. And with that, sometimes we land them into trouble because sometimes you post your child, a video of your child or a photo of their child with uniform. And people can see the logo of where the child is going to school. So and that can become a security issue because that is private information. People don't need to know certain things, email addresses, phone numbers, where your children go to school, where you live. And sometimes we do these things not knowing. I'll give an example of a famous musician in the States who was killed because as he was doing his tour, he did an Instagram live and he had rented an Airbnb. And when he was doing an Instagram live, he unfortunately put the house number and the place where he was. So people who are looking for him knew exactly where he was and they came and stole and killed him. And I think that is maybe not knowing or directly putting yourself into danger, but just because you're doing certain things, you pick special things that should not be on the internet. However, there are people who just, we want to put our children in danger. And I think even when we're talking about like the 44 children who got caught, we now even have a name and a face to the person who, the adult in this story, Millicent Kidinji. And at least we're not talking about somebody we do not know. We know this person. And thank God they're in custody and stuff, and the investigations will go through the way they will. But you can imagine if you were to look at it, she has ruined 44 homes. Wow. So these are 44 children. Yeah. 44 homes. If my relative was part of those children, my home by extension has also been affected. Yeah. And we also need to acknowledge that this person had a child. Her own child was part of this group. Yes. So this person was directly putting their child in danger. Directly. And this is intentionally. So yes, there are situations where we intentionally put our children, we don't mean to put them in danger, but the places where we put them, we land them into trouble, or we don't think through the process of everything that might happen in that situation. Because as a parent, if I was sending my child into a party, I have children below, pre-teenagers. Yeah. So for me, I will be there, or I will make sure I have, surveyed the area. The person who is hosting that party shares my values. So maybe I'm a bit comfortable in that sense. However, I have also been a victim of my 6-year-old taking alcohol in a birthday party, and it was a friend's birthday party.
Wow.
So it was not intentional. There was alcohol and she thought it was juice. She drank. She was 5 then. She drank and she came home. She was high. The following day, she was nursing a hangover. I was very upset. And you can imagine this is a child, a person I know.
Yeah.
So yes, these sleepovers, yes, these play dates. I think we need to start also looking at what our culture is and trying to see if we are going to start adopting certain things, how can we put measures ourselves? Because yes, we will buy the phone, we will buy the internet, we will take them to these sleepovers. We are those who are taking them. However, what is the environment we're sending our children to? What are the things that could happen there? And I keep telling people, sometimes you may know a friend. I may know you, Jemo. I might bring my children to your house for a sleepover, but I don't know the people who are in your house. I know James.
Very true.
I don't know your gardener. I don't know the people who are around. And those people are the ecosystem of the child. So when I keep talking about you knowing who has access to your child, it goes beyond physical people. It also goes beyond, you have Netflix at home, you have Showmax, you have Hulu, and you have the internet that has access to your child. So depending on how you want to, to filter, because I think filtering is also not really a big solution. However, the values, you talked about foundation and what relationships we are creating with our children. That is actually very powerful because your child today is 6, tomorrow they're 20. Yeah. But the foundation will always be there. So when you're not around, aren't you believing that they will be responsible human beings to make sound decisions? And I think that's what, right now, we need to start cultivating values. The foundation has to be very strong because we won't be with them all the time. But they need to know when I'm on the internet, this is where I draw the line. These are the conversations I can have. These are the places I can go because it's not about me. And this is something I repeat to my children. When you're doing good things, you're not doing me a favor. You're doing yourself a favor. I tell them that. If you have a house that has anybody above the age of 8, they can take social responsibility for their crimes. They can. So also these are things parents need to start understanding. You tell the children, this is your responsibility. So for instance, today, Jemo, you come and find your 16-year-old child with pornographic videos online. As a parent, you'll feel very bad, right? But who will bear that consequence? It is your child. Nobody else. It is your child. You will feel bad, you will cry, you will do all these things. But if the future employer was to look at their digital footprint, unfortunately, it will not be James, it will be the child. So also, I think, as I'm saying, we need to start changing our mind shift. It is to also show the children their responsibility. Because I think we can't keep telling them what to do. We can allow them to do, but also know, as you're doing, these are the consequences. They're positive and they're negative consequences.
Yes. Evelyn, as we wrap up, because we're almost out of time, are there resources you can point parents to? Maybe that they can look at, resources that can help them become more vigilant when it comes to helping their children be responsible on these online platforms?
Our website has so much content, eveminet.co.ke. Eveminet, EVEMINET. .co.ke. One among the things that we are also doing in terms of creating information is also to point people into the legal resources that we have. Last week, as a country, we commissioned a data commissioner. We didn't have a data commissioner in the country. And we have been careless just sending things all over the places because, nani atani prosecute. Now we have a data commissioner. She's called Immaculate Kasait. And I think parents now need to start looking first at the sexual offences bill. They need to look at it very clearly, specifically number 3, and then look at the Data Protection Act. Why am I saying this? Because I think as parents first we are being unfair. As much as we're talking about children, we are being unfair to children. Always remember that the child should be the center, and whether it is your child or not, you should protect that child. It is your responsibility as an adult to protect a child. When we started seeing pornographic videos, you see that the 3 girls allegedly who got lost, and people now started sending, they were shooting pornographic things. People were sending them all over WhatsApp platforms. That is very unfair. Why? You are not protecting that child. The footprint of that child, unfortunately, has been ruined. I don't know how they will recover. I don't know how. Somebody somewhere went and opened a Twitter account and they started responding because the previous day they were trending and she started responding. I don't know if you saw that. They started responding and saying that ni nani aliwaambia mtutafute, nani aliwaambia tunataka kusaidiwa, and they were responding to all the tweets because they were trending, responding and in a very vulgar and angry way. I don't know if it is a true account or it is a bot account. However, we need to start looking critically at the digital footprint of that child. But the reason why I'm saying this also is because just because it is not your child who is doing these funny things doesn't mean it can't be your child.
Yeah.
Because you don't know what your child is doing. You know, they might be physically with you, but they're all over the world. You don't know what they're doing. It's just because maybe they have not been caught. Or probably they're doing these things and thinking, I'm using Telegram and my messages can auto-delete or something of the sort.
Yeah.
We need to start being very careful with the kind of information we are sending out there to people about children, because our responsibility is to protect children. It doesn't matter whether it is your child or not. And also you paying keen attention to what the law says, because we also need to be responsible. And if you go to our website, you'll see tools that you can use in terms of softwares that you can download to protect your children. Again, I keep saying filters are not everything. They could help, but you need to still work on the foundation. We have classes where we are teaching parents how to create conducive environments at home. And especially for those parents who are saying, I am not a technical person, I'm not a social media person. You don't need to be, but make your environment safe. Because when your child is being bullied online and they come and tell you, you will handle it as bullying, just the same way you would handle a physical bullying. And so your child feels, I'm safe, I can go to my parents, I'll not be judged, and they can help me. So create a conducive environment for your children. And one of the things that we're doing that is very amazing, and I'm seeing people thanking me for it, is how I'm helping parents look at to create a vision board for tech for their children. And I'll give you an example. You have a 16-year-old today, James, and by 18, that is maybe 3-4 years from now, have you anticipated the kind of conversations you'll have with your child? I need to trigger that so that you don't get shocked. Oh, guy, sasa ako kwa social media. Guy, sasa tutafanya nini? You need to start knowing where my child is, what are the conversations I'm going to anticipate, what technology will I introduce, how will I introduce these things, and how will I involve my children, so that we become proactive and we stop putting out fire, because putting out fire is not sustainable. Very
true. Evelyn Kasina, thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your insights. We always appreciate when you come on board to give us insights into tech and the family area. In fact, talking about resources, I think this is one movie every parent should watch. I'm sure you must have watched Social Dilemma.
Yes.
Mzazi.
And I need to give you another one to watch, The Sixth Day.
The Sixth Day.
I think that one you'll be very interested in. Yes.
I will find it. Social Dilemma. Watch that movie. It will help you understand social media and how that world operates. It's just unbelievable. I'm out of time for today. Thank you so much for watching and for being a part of the show. My mother, Mrs. Refa Okumu, I know you're watching. Hey, endelea kutuombea. Wazazi wa siku hizi tuko na shida mingi sana. Have a good day.
For this and more of our shows, log on to www.familymediaonline.com to enjoy a wide variety of programs, from current affairs to testimonials and features, pastoral and inspirational shows, kids entertainment, and so much more. Also stream live on www.familymedia.tv.